And we're live. Welcome to Carnivore Sunday School. Today is October 26th. I think it's the last. Is it the last Sunday before we change our clocks?
Yes.
Behind 1 hour. I think next week we do that. So I'm looking forward to sunlight being a little more normal time in the morning because I need my circadian rhythm locked correctly. And we have our special guest today. We don't have Stephanie. She is on vacation in the sun, but maybe she'll pop in if we're lucky. If you see Stephanie respond in the comments, it's me pretending to be her because I'm signed in as her, if that makes sense. So we'll go around. We got 3 people on the screen, it's just me, George, and Diane, and we'll just do a little quick introduction of who we are, where we're from, and just a quick explanation of our diet. And then we'll get into Diane, who's our special guest. We'll get into how Carnivore has helped her and transformed her life, changed her, given her good health. So I'll get started because I'm on the left there. I'm Carnivore teacher. I'm on YouTube and all the social media sites. I put a teaching video out every day. It's about 5 to 7 minutes long. I used to be a middle school teacher, so I'm used to making lessons and talking to people. So I just continued to do that when I retired a couple of years ago. And I do these lives on Sunday. And I'm Carnivore coming up on 3 years soon. In a month or two, I'm going to be a 3-year carnivore. Before that, I was ketovore for 3 years. And before that, I was keto, transformed my health, my emotional health, some physical problems that I had that got cured. Won't go into detail here. This is just the intro, but it's the reason I do this. It's the reason I share is I want to pay this forward because carnivore is the cure for what ails you. Probably because what we put in our mouth is huge. It really is, among other things, but the food we put in. So let's go to George. Tell us yourself.
Yeah. My name is George Goodenough. I'm your 60-year-old carnivore friend from the town of Bridgewater in Somerset, England. I am actually a qualified teacher myself. I'm qualified to teach English as a foreign language to adult students. Although I never actually got to use it, but it's been quite useful because it means I know how to research and study. My story is one of 3.5 years ago. I was diagnosed with morbid obesity at 293 pounds and type 2 diabetes. I didn't know about carnivore at the time. A very kind nurse told me that all carbs are sugar. So I went away, researched carbohydrates and the low carb diet, and threw away my prescriptions. I never cashed them in. For metformin and statins, I think it was. And in the last 3.5 years, I've totally healed myself of morbid obesity and type 2 diabetes and accidentally picked up carnivore on the way, as I didn't know about carnivore when I first started it. But I'm now a fairly strict carnivore. Little bit of crossover with Diane, which I don't think she knows about. I actually live in the town of Bridgewater in Somerset, which is my hometown. I was raised on a farm in a little village called Willavington, just outside it. And just outside of Bridgewater as well, there is a little village called Moorland. Now, Diane and myself have a mutual friend in Rebecca Johnson, who is a multiple sclerosis recoverer and thriver. Rebecca was raised in the village of Moorland, and her best friend at school actually came from Willavington, my home village. So Rebecca and myself are now great friends by email and obviously on the YouTube platform. Rebecca now lives in Spain, in rural Spain for her health, and has a great channel called Cabana Chronicles. So there's Cabana Chronicles, but with the tilde over the or the tilde, sorry, over the N, which makes it Cabana. So she's great, and her father, who is a retired medical doctor, lives less than 1 mile away from me in Bridgewater. So there we go, Dan. I know you know Rebecca very well, and Rebecca was, without us realising it, she was a neighbour of mine when we were growing up. So a little bit of crossover there. So I think that's enough from me for the moment. So we'll go on to Diane to tell her story.
Okay, my name is Diane Ladd, and my channel is Boston Carnivore Diane Ladd. And my story, I'm not a teacher, but I am a social worker, so I could be the school social worker in this Sunday school. So I worked as a therapist for many years. I worked as a coach, an ADHD coach for many years, as George spoke about, we met at the Kilts Coaching School, and we're both carnivore coaches and have channels. And I healed nearly 100% of the symptoms of multiple sclerosis in a year and a half following the carnivore diet. So that is how the carnivore diet has benefited me, has benefited my family, has benefited my life. And I will never, ever, well, never say never, but on this day, I will not stop eating carnivore because it's changed my life for the better.
Amazing. I know a few people with MS. I want to share this video when we're finished with them, and you and your channel. Absolutely.
Yes.
I won't go into detail, but yeah, it's really making me think, and I can't wait to hear how. I mean, you had MS. You have had remission.
I technically still have.
Okay,
MS, but I don't have any symptoms.
Amazing.
That I had.
Amazing.
And I was diagnosed in 2016. So it's been a while.
Fantastic. Okay, so before we get started, I want to get this off the table because people are going to ask, and I listened to you. I forget who I listened. I was listening to you in somebody else's channel, and you gave the explanation of your last name, and you're not married to Bruce Dern, and your daughter is not Laura Dern. You're not the famous actress. You just have a similar last name, correct?
Ladd, yes.
Diane Ladd. Okay.
Yes.
I can picture the actress in my mind.
Right, right.
You get that a lot, right?
Yeah, well, also I was waiting in a doctor's office once, and I'm sitting there, and the nurse comes out and goes, Cheryl. Of course I don't answer because Cheryl's not my name. Cheryl? Then she looks at the paper and goes, oh, Diane? She thought I was Cheryl, but
there's that one too. Yeah, I didn't think
there's that one too.
Yeah,
very famous name. No relations
to
anybody. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's jump right into it. And before we get started, viewers, if you have a question for Diane about MS or anything about her journey, or for the host, me or George, please feel free to type QQQ in the comment with your question or comment, and we'll highlight it on the screen, and we'll see if we can get to it, address your question. So we'll start. Diane, let's start. You were diagnosed in 2016 with MS. What were your symptoms? How was the diagnosis? And did you decline up until you hit carnivore? And then, tell us your story.
Yeah, I'd love to tell you my story. So multiple sclerosis is a very difficult thing to be diagnosed with because there are so many obscure symptoms and things that could be like dizziness. Do you have vertigo? They've got to rule out so many things. And this had been a two year of symptoms. So 2014, I really started getting some symptoms. And by 2016, I had been to all the doctors. I had nerve conduction tests. I had a test where they sat you on a chair and spun you around, and it just really horrible tests. And I had an MRI, and the doctor saw that I had lesions on my brain. However, he said, well, why don't you come back in 8 months and get another MRI? They don't want to diagnose multiple sclerosis. So 2016, it was February, the last test. I had a whole series of tests that they sent me to within a couple of months. And the last test was with an eye doctor. And I have a condition called INO, I had a condition called INO, which is where your eyes are, it's like your eyes are not lined up correctly. And when your eyes track side to side, one eye comes in, and that is indicative of multiple sclerosis. And with the MRI, that is when I got my diagnosis in February of 2016. The eye doctor said, yes, you have multiple sclerosis. And then I had to go to a neurologist. So then there's a couple of months between that time and going to the neurologist. And during that time, I'm like, okay, I can fix this thing, diet, exercise, lifestyle. I'm going to do this thing. And I started my research, and I found this doctor who wrote a book on a diet for multiple sclerosis, which is a paleo diet. And I brought the book very hopeful to my doctor the first my first appointment. And I said, look, this doctor, she doesn't have symptoms of MS. And she said, yeah, no, you have multiple sclerosis. It is a lifelong diagnosis. It will only get worse. We do have medications that will make you a little more comfortable. And maybe there's like a 40% chance that your condition will not progress as much if you take these very strong medications. But we have 3 tiers of medications. We'll start you on the weakest medication. When and if you feel that, we'll move you up to the 2nd tier. When and if you feel that, we will move you to the strongest medications. And lo and behold, that's what happened. I started on the weakest medication, failed to that because I got another lesion in my brain. They take MRIs once a year to see what's going on inside. So I had another lesion, went up to the 2nd level, stuck with that for a little while, had another lesion, up to the strongest medication. And this all happened between 2016 and 2020. And if you can remember what happened in 2020 that we will not mention, it was a time where everyone was very concerned about their immune system, right? And I was given a drug that wiped out my immune system in 2020. And the drug was called Ocrevus. And it was an infusion that you went every 6 months, and you sat in the hospital and had an IV in your arm, and your immune system, your B cells were gone. That was the whole purpose of it, is to wipe out your B cells so your B cells did not attack your brain. And so it was a very fearful time for me. It was a lot of wearing masks, a lot of isolation, a lot of not going out in public a lot, and feeling pretty ill. Not from the medication so much, although the medication did have side effects. The medication that I was on caused chronic urinary infections, UTIs. So I had to be on an antibiotic. So they put you on this strong medication that causes you to now be on antibiotics. And then the urinary incontinence started, then the extreme fatigue, the extreme brain fog, up until the point of 2022. So it had been 2 years on the medication. And the doctor, took all the tests. I started feeling ill. I started feeling extreme fatigue, extreme exhaustion, so much to the effect where I cut down my hours. I'm still working as a therapist, and I couldn't focus on what my patient was telling me. I had to stop because I had to be effective. And if I wasn't effective, which I was effective at the time, but I didn't want to go into not being effective, I wanted to be able to listen to people telling me their innermost hurts, their innermost joys, such an awesome thing, such an awesome occupation that I had. And I could not be present for those people anymore. So I had to fold my practice, which was a job in itself because I had to find other therapists to take care of 30 other people, right? So that whole process was horrible. I ended up in the hospital. I ended up wanting an MRI to see what was going on in my brain, because it was so much different than before. And the doctor said, well, it seems like it's the same. So they're not seeing progression of disease. However, I'm feeling progression of disease. And my balance was bad. I was thinking it's quite possible that I will end up with a cane soon. I didn't know where this was going to go. And I just really, for the first time, I really prayed for myself. I prayed that God would take this multiple sclerosis from me. And that was new for me because I had always prayed for other people. And I always kind of thought, like, God knows that I don't want this, right? He knows. I didn't think it was necessary. But as soon as I did, something miraculous happened. My eyes were starting to fail too, on top of it. So I was always an avid reader, and I wasn't reading. And I'd watched everything on Netflix. I had watched everything on the regular channels. And so I turned on YouTube one day, and in the search bar, I put diet to cure multiple sclerosis. And lo and behold, Carrie Mann from Homestead How pops up, right? All our favorite people. Robert Kiltz pops up. Chafee, Dr. Chafee pop up. Dr. Ken Berry, all my favorite people. They were like my friends. I would sit on the recliner in the morning with my coffee and I would watch them. And I was like, no, really? Really, God? Carnivore diet? Just eating meat? No way. That's not the way it's going to be. And I had done, a keto diet, like a really clean keto diet, but always kept the veg in, always kept the healthy carbohydrates, only a tiny bit of them in. And I was following a very, very strict diet. I didn't come from the standard American diet. I came from following a very strict keto diet, which really didn't help much. I was like, well, my doctor was right. It didn't help much, but I'll still be hopeful and I'll follow it. And so it took me 3 months of watching these carnivore doctors and really studying the biology behind it, the chemistry behind it. I looked up studies, and I was reading studies on what was actually going on in my brain and in my body. I did a lot of research. And then one day, it was March 1st, 2024. It was a Tuesday. And I remember that because every diet I have ever started was a Monday because you would eat all weekend. You would have some fun. You'd be like, well, Monday's my diet day. But this day was Tuesday, March 5th. And I woke up that day and I said, you know what? I'm going to eat meat today. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it 30 days. 30 days, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it exactly. Beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And I never looked back because in 3 weeks, I woke up one day and the sun was a little brighter. I could think a little easier. I felt a little happier. I actually had a smile on my face. I'm like, wow, is this what they're talking about? This carnivore superhuman event? And yeah, that never went away. And every week, every month, every day. And when I felt a difference, when I felt a symptom going away a little bit or getting less, I documented it. I documented this event, and I've got it all on my phone. I've got it all right here in my notes app. I've got every single thing. It was like, in 3 weeks, the fatigue and the brain fog lifted. In 3 months, the Uthoff syndrome, which is an extreme heat sensitivity that people with MS experience. I couldn't go, if it got to be like 75 degrees, John, and I couldn't live in Florida with that. If it got to be 75 degrees, I'd start to feel like dizzy. I would start to feel, I need air conditioning. I need like sometimes even in the winter, very, very cold, 30 degrees, 25 degrees, I would keep my coat open, taking a walk, and I would have to come home and put my feet in cold water when I came home because that's how just the body heat, when your core temperature raised 1 degree, it would feel like your brain was frying. So that's called Uthoff syndrome. 3 months after starting carnivore diet, I went on a walk in 85-degree weather. I started late. I wanted to get up and walk, and things got, kind of busy, and it was around 11:30, noonish. And I said, you know what? I'll just take a walk. If I get hot, I'll turn around. I walked 2 miles in 85-degree weather, zipping around the neighborhood. My husband works from home. I came home. I was like ready. I was in tears. I'm like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He was very excited for me because he's lived through this. He knows what I have been experiencing. And so yeah, it's been amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've learned, you tell me, that MS is where the myelin sheathing around our nerves and axons is not growing or it's decaying, and that's the disease. Uh, is there a test? Were they able to see that that was happening other than the lesions in the brain?
So yes, so I should have explained this. So that is true. When your myelin sheath deteriorates on the little teeny, you have like billions of them in your brain.
Right.
So it deteriorates, the message cannot go from one neuron to the other neuron. So there's a gap. But once that myelin sheath gets frayed away, not only does the messaging not go through, but that neuron dies. That group of neurons die. So the brain cells die. And how you can tell that the brain cells die is that when you take an MRI, there is a lesion. That lesion signifies that there are a group of neurons that have died. And it shows up like a black hole. It shows up like a bright white light at first, and that means there's an active lesion. Once that lesion has truly died, it's like Swiss cheese. So my brain looked like Swiss cheese all around the center of the brain. There's all these neurons that have died, so there are all these black holes.
Wow.
Yeah. So is that permanent? As of last December, it was permanent. I had, even though no symptoms, there were scars, right? So those little black holes were scars. I have heard that there are certain people that are carnivores that those fill in, that your body actually, because the brain has so much plasticity, that is so much change, that it will fill in. We'll see what happens, because I go in December for another MRI. So I am crossing my fingers, although it really doesn't matter to me.
You feel wonderful, but you want to see if you're like some of those other carnivores who have MS, where the holes are, maybe the brain is regrowing those neurons and filling the spaces.
The brain can. So, when you are, so okay. So I have a lot of theories behind this.
Right.
So I used to think you eat fat, your brain is made of fat, it regenerates, and I still kind of think that. So this is one theory. Your brain will regenerate the fat because myelin sheathing, that it's like an extension cord. Picture a wire extension cord, and you have and on the outside of that you have what? You have this plastic
insulation, right?
Insulation.
Yeah.
So the myelin sheath is the same. It's an insulation on the outside of the neuron, right? And it gets frayed away. That insulation is made of fat and cholesterol.
And cholesterol, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you don't eat fat and cholesterol and your brain is fraying, how do you repair it? Right? That was the first thought. The second thought is ketosis. When your body goes into ketosis, it fires the brain. So I think those two things may be going together. The doctors don't know. The researchers don't know. This is all leading edge. This is all, nobody knows this. So when I went back to my doctor, John, and what they do is a sobriety test, basically. So you put your fingers out to the side, touch your nose with each finger, stand up, close your eyes, put your head back. Let me see if I can push you over. They test your reflexes. It's a whole clinical exam. It's the same every time. At the end of it was my most embarrassing part was doing something where you walk across the room heel to toe. So you're standing on one foot, you go heel to toe all the way across the room. And from the moment I was diagnosed, from the first time I did this with my doctor, I was very surprised that I could not walk heel to toe, not even 3 steps. I would kind of teeter back and forth and kind of but like stumble to the side. And it was always the most embarrassing part of the exam for me. And when I went last November, she's doing the clinical exam with me. And, I said, I'm going to tell her, because I didn't tell her the 6 months before. I go every 6 months. And I didn't tell her. I had just started the carnivore diet and I wasn't ready to tell her yet. Even though I was feeling better, I had to learn how to talk to a doctor, right? We all know that. If you're a carnivore and you're going to a doctor, you've got to learn how to talk to that doctor. And so she asked how I was feeling. And as she's testing my reflexes, as she's asking me to perform this clinical exam, I'm telling her, I'm saying, Doc, I have to tell you what has been going on with me. I know you know what you know. I know that you have been keeping me healthy with the medications you have prescribing. I know you know so much about the brain and that you are such a good doctor and I really appreciate you. I'm just prefacing it like that. And I said, but you don't know what I have been doing. What I have been doing is eating a metabolic ketogenic diet over the past 8 months. And this is what I've been experiencing. I no longer have brain fog. I no longer have urinary incontinence. My balance is so good. I'm walking 3 miles a day. I am lifting weights 3 times a week. I feel better than I felt when I met you. That is what's been going on with me. And not only is she hearing my words, but she's watching me. She's watching me ace this exam. And the last thing she said was, okay, let's walk heel to toe across the room. I walked heel to toe all the way across the room and felt like doing a Michael Jackson moonwalk on it.
Oh, wow.
And she just stopped and was like blinking her eyes and just kind of thinking. And she went back to her computer and, her back was towards me and she turns around and she said, what do you want to do? I was just so shocked because she never asked me that question before. Yeah. And I said, about what? She said, do you want to take the Ocrevus or not? And I thought about it and I'm like, really, I don't want to. But I said, what if we reassessed in 6 months and see how I'm doing? And she said, that's fine by me, but I'd like you to take an MRI and, and we can make the next appointment in 6 months. I said, that's fine. And I went back in 6 months and aced it again. So it's been twice that I've done this. And I go back November 11th and see her again. So we'll see what happens. Third time's a charm, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A question comes to mind. Are you, with your carnivore diet, have you increased your maybe omega-3 fatty acids from DHA, EPA from fish for the brain health, just to bump that up a little bit? Like what? No. All right. What are you eating carnivore on a daily basis now? Just beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, or can you get a little more specific?
Okay. So I'll give you, so I've also incorporated some fasting, but we'll talk about that afterwards. Right. I'll tell you, like, if I'm gonna eat 3 meals a day, this is what I'll eat.
Okay.
I'll get up in the morning and I'll take, I usually do cook up a pound of ground beef. I don't eat the whole pound. I'll eat between, depending on how hungry I am, I'll eat 1/4 of a pound of it to 1/2 a pound. And I do it scrambled, like a scrambled hamburger. And when I take my I put the other part aside. My husband also eats carnivore, so I'll save him some. And I'll maybe crack 3 eggs and I'll scramble the eggs with the ground beef. And sometimes I eat bacon with it. Sometimes I don't. I never eat cheese. I don't eat cheese. So I'll have that for breakfast. And I do have coffee. Carnivore, please don't arrest me. I have coffee. And I don't put, sometimes I'll put butter in it, but I don't put cream in it. Butter doesn't seem to bother me. For lunch, if I have lunch, maybe I'll have some more of that ground beef. Maybe I'll have a piece of steak. Maybe I'll have a leftover piece of chicken. I do eat chicken. Chicken thighs, chicken legs, no chicken breasts with the skin on. And then for supper, I make a beautiful ribeye steak. And that's it. That's it. And I don't eat after supper. And I fast at least 12 hours. And I'm not hungry in between. Not at all. Not at all at all. I used to be the one that ate the breakfast, the snack, the lunch, snack, the dinner, and then felt like eating something before bed. No more.
Yeah, the protein and the fat satiated you. Your leptin kicked in.
Yeah.
That intermittent fast window is beautiful, 12 to 14 hours. And your body is responding the way we hear Dr. Berry and Dr. Chafee and everybody saying that it does. And
Yes.
your N=1 experiment, a person with MS is showing this. And you're new. You just started this less than a year ago.
No, I started
No?
a year and a half ago.
March 5th, right? March 5th?
2024.
24. Okay. All right. So a year and a half ago. It'll be
Yeah.
2. All right. All right. So it'll be 2 years this coming March.
Yeah,
But
I
still,
know.
that's fast. That's fast. That's wonderful. And you started seeing signs within 3 weeks. You started
Yeah.
feeling better and happier in 3. This is just amazing. I cannot wait
And
to share this.
for the weight loss people, and I didn't do this for weight loss.
Mhm.
I just want to be clear with that. However, I have lost 30 pounds. That's a side effect.
All right. Yeah.
That's a side effect of becoming healthy.
Being healthy. Exactly. Wow. George, any did you come up with any questions that you were waiting to ask?
Yeah, not so much question. Just want to make a few shout outs really to who we've got in the audience tonight. We've got both Amy's, both spellings, Rocking Coach Amy and Brisket Boomers, Amy Perrin. We've got Rick, the Duckman. He's everywhere, as we know. Jonathan, Carnivore Muscle from the UK. He's there. We've got Pumi, who is on the current Kilts Health coach, and she's been a guest for a while. We've got Sharon M. She's on here, and again, she's another one of our Kilts Health coaches. As is Nikki, Miss Lafalot, who is in the audience, and she has put up the fact that her mum is now in remission from MS. So
oh my gosh, that's so exciting!
And another story. Granny Boo's here as well, and somebody who is new to me, but lovely to see him. That's Chicken Dinner. And I just noticed that we have 2 other coaches just joined us. It's been like a reunion here tonight, Dan. We got Angela Mullins and Terry B. Terry B has a question, but I'll just finish off what I'm saying first. Yeah, when you think about it, we got some incredible people. We got an MS survival story. I was type 2 diabetes. Amy is type 1 diabetes. My wife, Lainey, as we know, is a cancer survivor, as indeed is Stephanie, who is our absent school secretary tonight. I believe that Pumi is PCOS and endometriosis. So just within, and Angela Mullins has just joined us. She's EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So it just goes to show that just in a very small audience, we have an incredible range of autoimmune conditions that Carnivore has helped. Yeah, from my own point of view, coffee. Yeah, I drink coffee, so please.
Oh, good.
But I have an excuse. My coffee cup on it says, "Warning: I may start talking about meat at any time." So that is kind of my get out of jail free card. And yeah, John was asking about omega-3. Now I can tell you that having just watched Rebecca's over in Spain, her latest MS story about climbing from no longer being in a wheelchair and climb a mountain with me, which is absolutely fabulous. But she has just switched from beef. She says she was suffering from beef fatigue, so she's actually switched to lamb, and is absolutely feasting on the lamb at the moment, cave woman style. Apparently, she eats it with her fingers and chews the bones. But Richard Smith, the keto, Richard Smith, the keto pro in this country, tells us that lamb is 10 times richer in omega-3 than beef is. Mm-hmm. So it's probably not a bad idea. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers what I've picked up so far. So Terry B's got a question, John. I think you've highlighted it.
All right. Terry B is asking, what benefits has your husband seen on Carnivore? How long has he been Carnivore? Did he start when you did?
He doesn't cook. So he had to start when I did.
Ah.
But he would have some little additions, but really not many. Like he started eating the beef when I started eating it, and he eats eggs and eats bacon, and he does all of that. And he would have like a side salad or have some olives, or, not exactly. And he still does that. If we go out to dinner, he'll have a salad. So he's not, what do I call him? It's not ketovore. I call him kindivore.
Well, if he's 70% or more animal products, he
really
is a hypercarnivore. Yeah.
So He had acid reflux, gone.
Oh.
He had fatty liver, gone. So he's lost some weight, but he was never heavy. So he's lost a little bit of weight. And yes, the only thing that upsets him, and he's still trying to study that for himself, and it happened to me as well, the dreaded LDL cholesterol went up, right? So, you know, he'll go to the doctor and the doctor will say something. And of course, the doctor wanted to, his doctor and my doctor wanted to put us on statins. And I totally refused the statin. And I got a CAC. My CAC, I'm glad to report, big fat 0.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm not worried. And my doctor was like, well, you know, given the diet you're on, and we have to keep you healthy, so let's put you on a statin. I said, no. I said, you know what we could do? Because you know what? I think that it puts me safe for 10 years, correct? She said, yes. I said, why don't we just take another CAC in 5 years?
There you go. Yeah.
Oh,
And your HDL and your triglycerides, and they need to look at all the other numbers. Everybody just, the darn doctors, it's just LDL is this number, put you on a statin.
Yeah. Well, John, I am a lean mass hyperresponder.
As am I.
Yeah. I love that. And I was before I was even lean. So that was pretty exciting to have that title. But yeah, I mean, they're just so like, if we are out with friends and we start talking, every single, especially man, is on a statin.
I know.
Everyone is on a statin. And it is just, that is a pandemic. Being on a statin is a pandemic. Everyone is going to, their brain is going to suffer. There was just a study, I think it was Nick Norwitz that put something out about the muscles and how the muscle atrophy and how the mitochondria in the muscle become unhealthy. Being on a statin, like there's so much that they're just finding out now, and it's not being talked about. It's not being, it goes from the study and it doesn't go to the doctor. There's like this gap. And they say there is a 20-year gap between study and actual practice, medical practice. So we're on the leading edge. We know, you know.
I just need to jump in here about statins. I've done a bit of research this week, and here's a question: does anybody know what year statins hit the market in as medicines, as pharmaceuticals?
Was it the 70s?
80s.
80s? I don't know the year.
Diane's right. Okay, so yeah, she's right. So in 1976, the Dr. Akira Endo basically started research into statins, or the compound which was going to form statins, and then but it didn't actually hit the market until September 1987 under the name lovastatin. That was the first ever commercial statin. 1987. That's 38 years ago, something like that. It's less than a microcosm in the history of the human race. How did we survive up until the year 1987 as a race without statins? If we were statin deficient all those years, how did we not die out? It's just incredible. It really is.
And what have people had less heart attacks and heart disease since 1987?
More.
No, it's more, and strokes as well, as of course. That's because the lower you get your cholesterol, the more likely you are to have a stroke. I always tell of my former training partner when I was a runner. She was a very super fit gym bunny, very thin, very good times on the track, absolutely fat phobic to the point where she would not consume avocado. Super fit, age of 60, had a stroke. Because she would not consume fat. Poor girl, you know, as I feel very sorry for her. Unfortunately, at the time, I had no idea about what I thought. She was right. You know, everybody knew that fat made you fat. I admired her dedication to training. But no, it's just horrible what's happening. So yeah, I certainly was diagnosed with a score of 7.1 in the UK cholesterol. And that translates to 275, I think. So the threshold being 200, they were desperate to sell me a statin. I got offered a statin. Well, I got the drug pusher tried to push him on me. It was a doctor I'd never met, never heard of. He didn't call me in to discuss it. Just said, "I'm going to sell you a statin."
Yeah.
I just ignored the text. So that's that's it.
But
That's
my
my-
doctor sent the prescription to the pharmacy without even talking to me.
Ah.
And then the pharmacy started calling me, "You've got this prescription." I'm like, "What prescription?"
And what's wonderful is you still have the power to just not take it and not buy it. And no matter what the doctor says, you're in control, and you have the knowledge, obviously. I was on lovastatin
You
and
were.
simvastatin in my I'm 60, in my 30s. And 30s, you're supposed to be strong and all this testosterone. I felt like an old man. I had body aches and cramps, and I did my own research. This is when Google was a little newer. And I learned back then that some of the side effects are muscle weakness and aches and pains. So I told my doctor, I want to switch. So he switched me to a lower one. And then I took myself off and everything disappeared. And interestingly, my younger brother, he's 3 years younger than I am. He told me recently on just a recent phone call that he switched from his statin to a lower statin because he learned that it's causing body aches and cramps. So I said, Paul, why not just get off of it completely?
They don't help. That's the other problem.
They don't help. So people don't understand that cholesterol is so vital to our hormone system, our testosterone, our estrogen, progesterone, our myelin sheaths. Oh my gosh. Every structure of every cell is made from cholesterol. Half of our brain is made of cholesterol. Vitamin D is made from cholesterol. The bile to break down our fats is made from cholesterol. And that's my argument when we have this discussion comes up a lot. Does it for you, Diane? What about your cholesterol number? And when they ask me, I say, well, my number's 300. And they're like, well, see? And then I have to talk.
Right. So the thing is like, that's the first question someone asks. Well,
yeah, it is. It is.
And I'm thinking, is that really any of your business? It's like, none of your business. I didn't ask you, what is your cholesterol?
Well, they're asking because you're putting a mirror, in a way, you're putting a mirror up in front of their face when they see that you've gotten healthy and you're not taking a statin and you're on this carnivore diet and looking wonderful. So then they want to negate you right away because, because I'm doing something wrong. I'm eating the standard American diet, from their perspective.
But, as we get older and we're all the same age, we're all 60.
Oh, there you go.
60 this year. Yeah.
We look pretty good.
Yeah, don't be damn So when your cholesterol levels drop for a woman, you can't produce estrogen, you can't produce progesterone, you can't produce testosterone, your vitamin D, all of that goes down. Every single hormone in your body, you cannot produce it. So what happens to your body? What happens to your brain? What happens to your quality of life? And then my vitamin D levels were super low, and they say that's a precursor for multiple sclerosis. When your vitamin D levels are low, and they blame it on living in New England. There's more incidence of multiple sclerosis the further you go from the equator. When vitamin D is low, that is like a really horrible risk factor. But my vitamin D was low and my B12 because I didn't eat much meat. Mm-hmm. Both things were low. And they say that both things can put you at risk for multiple sclerosis. So eat more meat, eat more cholesterol. Your vitamin D will go up, your vitamin B12 will go up, and, you'll be healthier. They don't know what they don't know. They don't know.
Comment came up from Brisket Boomers. My mom died of ALS related to the myelin sheath of nerve cells. It's a type of sclerosis. You're right. My father had it. He had late onset and he died from it as well. Carnivore must be good for ALS too. It is. And that brings to the question, since you're coming up on 2 years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of recent and new. Do you think you're having this great success because you caught it early and went to carnivore early? And someone who has maybe had MS for 10 years and then went on carnivore would be a different.
I've had it for, if I started with symptoms 2014,
24. Okay.
I started, I had it for 10 years.
So your official diagnosis was about 2 years, but you've
And
had
I'm wondering, so like I didn't eat like a junk diet, I ate basically a whole foods diet. Of course, I went off the diet every now and again.
Yeah. But you also went on all those tiers of drugs too, with all the side effects.
Drugs with all the side effects. My liver enzymes are so much better. A doctor that looked at it, a nurse practitioner that I went to see at one point looked at it. She said, "Wow, your liver enzymes are so much better because the drug reduced all my liver enzymes, and now they're all up to, perfect levels because of the diet too."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's.
Yeah. Can I just jump in there a second? I'd like to welcome a newcomer, I think, to Carnivore Sunday School, but also possibly a relative newcomer to the Carnivore diet. We've got the wonderful Tammy in the audience tonight, and she started the Carnivore in August, having been working toward it since June, and she has quite a good question, which is one which I know a little something about, and that is, how long does it take before the acid reflux goes? Anybody here had the acid reflux?
I haven't. I have not.
No, my husband did.
Yeah. And
I don't know how long it took him. There was one point where I was like, "Gosh, you haven't had that." It's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I've learned that when you have an issue and it goes away, you don't tend to notice that it went away because you feel great. You don't notice when the good things disappear as much. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I would give someone advice who started a carnivore diet. I would have them pay very close attention to how they feel, and to record. Have your phone record everything or a notebook, and when you feel a little bit of a relief from something,
write it down.
Document it. Document the date. Document the time if you want. I mean, you can, and just wow. And I did that at 3 weeks. At 3 weeks, and I don't think I heard too many people talking about that 3-week mark. However, now I hear people talk about it all the time. In 3 weeks, that symptom went away, and it seems like that's how much it takes, like, for you to just start to feel it, right? That's why we say do it for 30 days, because within that 30 days, you got to find something. And I had cortisone injections in my back, totally separate from multiple sclerosis. I had, some kind of a deterioration in my spine. And this was a long-term thing. I had sciatica. I noticed it right after I had my second son. So that was like, he was born in 1995. So I could barely walk after I gave birth to him. And like this back thing had been like horrible, horrible pain. I started with cortisone injections in my back, and I had to get them like every 6-7 months. As soon as the insurance let me have another one, I would get another one, whether I felt the pain or not, because I knew like the next day I would start feeling the pain. And so I'd have it scheduled. And this went on from 2017 up until 2024, the injections. And I have not had an injection. I don't have back pain. I had hip pain. I had bursitis in my hips. I had, I didn't even tell you guys, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, my second autoimmune disease. And that was diagnosed in 2024. And my ankles swelled up like a balloon. And I thought I injured it. And sure enough, my other ankle swelled up like a balloon. And I'd never injured that one. So that is actually a symptom of rheumatoid arthritis when you have bilateral, symptoms. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't even stand and brush my teeth. I couldn't stand long enough to brush my teeth. I had to sit down to brush my teeth. And then I ended up with a kidney stone right at that time. So was that oxalate poisoning or was that rheumatoid arthritis? That's still up in the air. Could be.
Well, what some people call arthritis or gout is actually oxalate.
That's right.
Crystals forming.
That's right.
It's the same thing, or we just give it a name that's different.
I was given a steroid for the ankles,
Mhm.
which ended up blowing a hole in my esophagus. I had problems with my esophagus. I did not eat for 1 month,
Hmm.
and I lost 20 pounds. I was very sick. I ended up in the hospital for the kidney stone. It was like a really like one thing after the other. Horrible time. I to this day don't know if that was oxalate poisoning, all of it, or if it was what it was. But I know the kidney stone was oxalate.
Mhm.
John, I was having a nice shake, healthy, every
Oh,
single
I'm
day.
sure. I did too.
It was a spinach stuff, shoving
Right.
the spinach in there, almond milk.
Did you do chia seeds too and chocolate? I
Sometimes
used to throw all that in there.
chocolate, yeah. Throw it
Oh,
all in there.
cocoa powder.
Everything that has oxalates in it,
Right,
right?
right.
And that's what at first thing in the morning I would have.
Oh, God,
And I'd be like, this is my healthy breakfast.
right. And
Yeah.
we think we're doing the right thing by ourselves. We're doing everything we were told is healthy.
Right.
I bought the juicer, right? You buy the stuff
Yes.
and we're not hearing the message. And I don't know if you get frustrated with this, Diane or George, but on Facebook, on social media, I'll see a post about the miraculous benefits of this chocolate product or this, name a product, and they will tout all the benefits, all the benefits, and they leave out the fact that it's high in oxalates. They leave out that it's high in lectins or phytates or polyphenols. They don't give you the full picture. And so people are buying it thinking, I'm doing my body good. I'm doing the right thing. It's criminal.
John, I'd never heard of oxalates or lectins until I started to carnivore.
Well, I didn't really either. Everything was a learning curve.
The majority of people won't have heard of it.
I had a kidney stone a few years ago.
I had one too. Yep.
So the doctor said when I went in 2024, 23, whenever it was, I lose track of the years. That was my second kidney stone. The first one, they tested it, and then the doctor sat with me and said, this was a calcium oxalate stone. I'm like, oh, what does that mean?
Well, yeah, what is
he
it?
said, well, here's a list of vegetables to stay away from. And you can, they listed them high oxalate, low oxalates. Do the low oxalate ones, eat those ones. Don't eat the high oxalate. First and foremost, the highest oxalate is spinach. And I was eating a lot of spinach.
And probably raw, right? Probably didn't cook it or or mix it with milk or cheese, which is what they did years ago, which bound it. So it didn't go right into our blood.
That's right. So when I was following this paleo diet, the doctor wanted, that wrote the book said to eat 9 vegetables a day. So I was counting my vegetables. I was eating 9. It looked like I was serving a buffet because I cooked them all in the morning just to see how many 9 vegetables were. It looked like I was inviting my vegan friends over. It was huge.
That's a lot of veggies.
That's a lot of vegetables. And if you tell me I'm going to be healthy, John, I will.
You're going to do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and it's not like there's anything special about me. I mean, I say I cured myself of multiple sclerosis. Like, oh my gosh, that sounds special. It's really not. It's not for something I did do. It's for something I didn't do.
You took out the toxins.
All the stuff out that caused the multiple sclerosis. Right. I don't know if it caused it.
Well, exacerbated it or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know. All I know is when I took it out, when I took out the carbohydrates, when I took out the junk foods, when I took out the spinach, when I took out all the vegetables that people say are so healthy, when I took out the fruits, when I took out everything except beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, when I took all of that out, I got my life back. So it's really not what I did. It's what I didn't do.
It's what you removed. Yeah. You just cleared the way to allow your body to heal.
And when you have multiple sclerosis and you have extreme brain fog and you have the fatigue like you wouldn't believe, you wake up tired. Do you feel like working out?
No.
Do you feel like walking? Do you feel like even talking to somebody? And that's another thing. My speech, you can hear how much I'm talking now. It affected my speech, guys.
Oh, really?
It affected my speech. I would start speaking and I would slur. I would have like this slur, and it would happen at the beginning of speaking. So then I didn't want to speak because I didn't want to embarrass myself and have someone think I'm drinking, right? Because that's what it sounded like.
Oh.
It affected my eyes. I couldn't read anymore. It affected my ears because I still have it, the tinnitus in my ears. I have that. I don't know if that's a side of, going to stay forever. I don't know.
Has that minimized the tinnitus? Has it gone down a little bit since you're eating carnivore? I've heard that it does for some people.
It happens. I'm still healing. That's
over
the part
time.
that's
Exactly.
really amazing. It's like every day I'll be like, whatever it is.
Are you still putting it in your phone? Like every little thing that you're noticing?
Not as much. I've got to get back to it.
Okay.
I just basically wake up in the morning and go, wow, I feel amazing.
That's great. I'm so happy for you. This is wonderful. So I want to share this with my friend. I walk around my neighborhood every night and we run into these dear friends of ours. Sometimes she's walking with a cane. Sometimes she's not out. Sometimes she's holding onto her husband because it ebbs and flows for her. Yes. What can I tell her? How would I approach? Do I just say, you need to do carnivore? I mean, how do you broach this with someone that you see really suffering and you know the answer, or,
Does she talk to you about how she feels?
I ask her, I kind of like, how you feeling today? And she'll tell me. She's told me that she's been to the doctor and had scans and where she is. And you
might want to say, listen, I talked to this woman who has multiple sclerosis and she's finding some relief doing this thing. And I'm wondering if you'd be interested in looking at her channel.
I'm gonna send her your channel for sure.
If you say sure, she's gonna say, no way.
Right.
She's getting some relief. Might be a good way to put it.
Getting some relief. All right.
Yeah.
That
because you know what, John, I went on Amazon and started looking for cute canes. Because I didn't want an ugly cane.
Yeah.
I knew that I was kind of headed there. I'm like, I better do some research on getting a cane that looks kind of cute.
Well, and look at you now, amazing. All right, we're at the top of the hour here.
School bell. Can I just want to readdress Tammy, who's relatively new, about apparently she is on a legacy drug, which is omeprazole from when she had an ulcer. Doesn't have it anymore. We're not doctors, but I can tell you two anecdotes, Tammy. One is I met a guy fairly recently who was coming back to his hometown, mutual friend. He was suffering from GERD. Went on to the carnivore diet and the acid reflux stopped. And the other story is quite a famous one. It's going to feature in Healing Humanity. One of my nearest carnivore neighbors, Lauren Tucker, who's quite well known in the community. She was on. She had acid reflux to the point where she could barely eat. It was down at 7.5 stone, very, very light, and as light as a light flat racing jockey. And was starving to death, basically suicidal. And she went carnivore. She was on omeprazole, still suffering from the acid reflux. Went carnivore and very rapidly cured it. The theory that everybody's putting out there now, I think it's right, is when you go meat only, your stomach acid responds by lowering in pH and you become a lot more efficient. We've heard that quite a lot recently. So that is the story behind that, Tammy. And welcome to the community, carnivore community, and B to us. And it's it's very early days yet. It does take time. And high chicken dinner as well. I'm glad to see that you've watched us back. But welcome to the lives. Yeah. That's it for me.
Can I say one thing about the acid reflux and omeprazole?
Mm-hmm.
Omeprazole is a hard drug to get off of, from what I hear from other people. Is once your body gets used to it, it's hard to get off. So that's one thing. And another thing is, Tammy, you might want to experiment with closing your eating window and not eating in between meals, because when you rest the stomach, rest the gut, that's where the healing comes in. So eating carnivore and not eating like every couple of hours, trying to extend that a little bit, trying to close the eating window. So in other words, eating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., giving yourself 12 hours at night to rest and digest and to heal. And look at what some people are doing with that and experiment yourself. I can't tell you what to do. No one else can tell you what to do and how to do it. You have got to be your N of 1 experiment, and you've got to experiment this for yourself, how you feel better, right? Do I feel better when I do this? Maybe I'll try it for a couple of days and see if I feel better. So that's what I did. I listen to people, but only to the extent of how it feels for myself. Oh, good. I'm doing that right now. Excellent. 16:8. Perfect. Just started. That's excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Try that for a little while, and then maybe close it just a little bit and see how that feels, if you can tolerate it. But that's what I would suggest.
Excellent. Excellent advice. All right. We're going to tell us where we can learn a little bit more about you. Specifically, you mentioned Boston Carnivore, Diane Ladd.
That's
Is
right.
that the name of your
That's right.
YouTube channel?
Yes.
Is it Ladd with 2 Ds at the end?
Ds, 1 N and 2 Ds.
1 N and 2 Ds. Okay.
Ladd.
So we can find you there. Where else can we
Put
find you?
Boston Carnivore, I pop up now, so that's good.
All right, good.
And I'm also on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm doing some shorts, little things there, and also TikTok.
Same name?
Yeah, Boston Carnivore.
And TikTok. Great.
Yep.
All right. Any one last thing you'd like to share before we close out for today? Last tidbit for our viewers.
Say, I would advise everyone that's listening, everyone that's watching, to trust yourself. I think that we doubt ourselves and we don't give ourselves enough credit. When you learn something, if you can apply it to yourself, I think that's fabulous. If it works, continue. If it doesn't work, don't continue. This is your life. This is what you eat. And I think it's important that we honor ourselves and that we respect ourselves so that we can become healthy.
Perfectly said. Honor our biology. Thank you so much for coming with us, Diane. George, let's real quick do you and me where we can find each other, and then we'll wave goodbye. You go first, George.
I have a small YouTube channel which will be growing called Good Enough for You, as in good enough, and then the word for, and then you. You'll find me there, and you'll find me under George Good Enough. On Facebook. I'm more active on Facebook than I am on YouTube. So please do come and find me. If you want to befriend me, make sure I know that you're a carnivore so that I can actually accept you as a friend. So thank you for that. Over to you, John.
Great. And I'm just Carnivore Teacher, or Carnivore Teacher Alpha. I just added the Alpha recently, just because it's more primal, and I'm just feeling ancestral and feeling the healing, and I'm continuing on with this way. I can't, like you, Diane, I'm never going back. Never. There's too many benefits. And I'm on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Threads and all the different places doing my thing. And we're back here next Sunday with another guest with great questions, great hosts. So please, those of you who are watching, come on back, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you for coming.
Thank you both.
Take care. Stay on,
Bye-bye.
Diane. We're gonna, yeah.